I'm Jay the Audiophile, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Breaks. Oh, that's good. Okay. I'm just a big music person. Always have been. I've been playing bass since I was 5 years old. But hip hop production, it was honestly, Scenario by Tribe Called Quest. When I heard that and I realized, I was listening to a lot of Miles Davis at the time, and I was like, wait, that's a Miles Davis sample? And I was like blown away that somebody could take Miles Davis and then turn it into a hip hop beat like that. And that's like what, got me down that path, which led to me collecting a lot of records. I have about 10,000 records or so. And because of the amount of records I own, like I never wanted to be a DJ, but because of the amount of records I own, it seemed like the next best step was to start playing them out. Oddly enough, making beats is my passion, but there's not a ton of money in music. However, there is a reasonable, decent amount of money in DJing, which is cool. So DJing funds a lot of my musical efforts. It's funny because I do so much music work, but like I don't have time to like learn new things, so it's always on the MPC 2000 because this is what I know and I understand. But one day. Dang. That ASR 10 I was actually following on Reverb. And I saw the price drop, and I was like, and it said Cherry Hill, New Jersey, so on a hunch, I thought it was at the Sam Ash. I'm a drum addict, love drum breaks, so as I collect records, I actually keep anything that I know has a drum break right here, so immediately I can just go, and dive in and find some new, fresh drums. So let's see what I got. Okay. So when I'm looking for a drum break, honestly, I'm just looking for clean drums. I don't care if it's a drum machine, I don't care if it's live drums. I don't care if it's a drum fill. Because even a drum fill, I'll be able to, splice that, get a kick, snare, and some cymbals out of it. So it's, anytime I'm like doing a, big process of me is like getting samples onto the machine, and then I go in and process them. So, I like a mix of like electronic drums and, more organic drum loops. Cause later as I'm building samples, that adds to my palette. So any beat could have, a varying degree of, different drum styles layered over top of it. But I try to collect as much as possible and as different as possible every time. as a musician, you know, I think people would think that I wouldn't appreciate the art of sampling. But I have a great family. My Aunt Susan got me this great book by the ACLU, the rights of what's called rights of artists and whatnot. And there was one talking about copyright. And there was a portion where they were talking about what is a copyright on what's called on a collage, you know. And if you just took, you know, like a cover from a magazine and just pasted it onto canvas, like obviously that's blatant copyright infringement. But if you cut the cover out and you start adding things to it, this ends up being your own composition. And for sampling, to me, that's the same thing. You know, it's not like, you know, these sounds, you know, like basically sampling ends up being my paintbrush, right? You know, and I'm just pulling different colors from different records. And I love that you mentioned that, like, you know, sampling ends up being a game. Like, for me, it actually ends up being like a puzzle. It's like, all right, I have all these puzzle pieces. Like, is there a way for them to, like, fit together? You know, and, you know, and it's as simple as like that. I love that drum loop. I've used it before. I'll use it again. Putting those strings over it and adding 808. It's like, boom, those puzzle pieces fit. You know, now I'm gonna record that and give that to one of my MCs, and we're gonna make a record out of it. So Tough City is quite literally built for hip hop producers. Okay. Yeah, back that up to the original. So I love film soundtracks, and James Brown is always good for a hit. And I think I already marked this up with the sample that I want. Singing, but like the orchestration on this stuff is gorgeous. I feel like not a lot of people pick up his records for the purpose of sampling, but I know for a fact there's like 2 breaks on here. That's it. Sometimes, like, I don't mind just playing drum loops, but it's really important for me anyway to have chops to be able to program effectively. It saves a lot of time at the end if you just have the chops in the beginning. A ton of chops in here. This is where, like, listening to records is important, because if I didn't listen to this entire record, I would have never actually found this little piece of, like, open drums. Like I mean, I got a lot of vinyl, and it takes a very, very long time to like actually sit and listen and wait for your sample to come up, you know. And sometimes it's like all the way at the, it's like the last bit of the last song on side 2, and all of a sudden like there's a gem. It's like, oh, here's, you know, here's some open drums for you to use, or here's a what's called, here's a dope sample. Long process. The workflow on the MPC is kind of just where my head's at. So it's like when I go into the studio, that's the first thing I can, it's the easiest thing for me to just dive into and start working. But it's taken years to do that. Like that workflow is not that easy. It's not like, you know, booting it up and you have a whole bunch of sounds there. It's taken years for me to like get like a startup program together where like I can start up. I'm like, oh, all right, here's like all the drum hits that I like. Here's a couple drum loops, that I can start with, and there's even a folder of samples that, you know, I can go back to that I haven't worked on yet. And I haven't done that with the EPS or the ASR, and don't even get me started on the the S950 or any of the Roland samplers. Like those are projects for years to come. All right, so that break is broken, and then we got. Taking that whole thing, I didn't realize that that was the beat right there. I mean, I'd love to say that I have a style all my own, and I do think that I do, you know, but there's like really like two very clear influences in my style, and that's Havoc's production on Hell on Earth and DJ Muggs' production on Temples of Boom. And regardless of how, you know, I'm only as original as the records that I pull, you know, but a lot of my style like comes from, you know, my appreciation for those records, you know, very dark sounding, you know, especially with Hell on Earth, the amount of strings that, you know, Havoc uses in his production, you know, like I'm a big classical music fan, but like I have a ton of classical records just so I could sample string sounds, you know, and it's directly related to Hell on Earth. Trying to see if this loop even sounds good. So I had the drum loop going, and I had this little salsa thing. So trying to see if I can get them to loop up. So by adjusting the pitch. still something. There's like something off with that though. So I'm a big DJ Muggs fan. Like Temples of Boom is like one of my favorite albums, and what I got from that is like a lot of people mess around with the 808s. I just love the one sustained boom like somewhere in the mix, you know. So, you know, it's so interesting. It's like from the game aspect of it, it's like I'm leveled up on the MPC 2000 XL. Like I can, you can give that machine to me bare bones, you know, and give me a handful of records and I'm making beats in no time, right? And especially with the way it's set up now, I'm like a level 30, MPC 2000 XL user. But that's why, you know, going back to some of the other questions, like, that's why I'm not like diving into the EPS or diving into the ASR 10. I'm hip hop fan through and through, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like all the way through. One of the earliest producers that somebody that I like to listen to all the time. I love the tone, and somebody that inspires me daily is Marley Marl. I think what, you know, he did with some of those early it's crazy to see that development from like MC Shan to Roxanne Shante, Big Daddy Kane, and honestly, like, I don't think people talk about how incredible a record the Bismarckies Going Off is. Like, the tone on that record is absolutely gorgeous. You know, so it's like one of, like, you know, when I discovered Marley Marl, like, that was like a really important instance for me. You know, going into the 90s, I'm like a huge Wu-Tang head. So like I always say, like, Havoc and Muggs are like my two biggest influences, but like when it comes to like listening to records, I'm like, there's always going to be two 90s Wu records in my car at any given time. And then here's something interesting, because I don't think a lot of people, people talk about, you know, how great of an artist Jay-Z is, but that late 90s, early 2000s, like Rockefeller Records, I think is some of the best production ever. And like, it's a lot of Just Blaze. I love Just Blaze. I think, you know, he can make pop tracks, you know, but when he's just, you know, doing straight like hip hop, like, you know, he's one of the best producers out there. And that era needs to be studied. You know, I made a playlist, I'll send it to you. It's my dissertation on, you know, Rockefeller Records being the greatest rap record label of all time. But like, there's some like incredible tracks that, you know, a lot of those posse cuts, you know, that end up being like little album cuts, but, you know, when you listen to them all together, they're all like some of the best hip hop tracks ever. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, I DJ for Del P, so the Wordsmith Experience is every second Friday upstairs at the Khyber. If you're looking to see it's not even local talent anymore. You know, there's a cat, Mr. Rossi, from North Carolina up there, last month, you know. But mainly it's like artists from New York down to Baltimore, you know, once a month. That said, June we're gonna take off because we're doing the album release party on Juneteenth for Del P's next record, Transition of Power, at City Winery. So that's gonna be dope. And then I've been recording a ton lately. You can expect tracks. One, Lehigh just came out, what's called by AKA Soup. That's a new Philly classic. Definitely go check that out. I'm gonna see some stuff from Wiles Martyr, Gene Darko, J Easy Awkward. I have a ton of material that I just need time to go and mix from AKA Soup. That's gonna be an entire record. I got a couple tracks on Del P's Transition of Power. And then last but not least, last year I released a record with Eddie Nash called Bronca. And if you're into Philadelphia, what's called fine dining in Philadelphia, like this is the record for you, whether you enjoy going out or, especially for those that like work in the service industry, this was a record made, for us, by us, really, really, really proud of that record. And like Eddie Nash did a fantastic job on what's called on that LP. Hey yo, this is Jay the Audiophile. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Coffee Breaks. Peace.